A few weeks ago, I received an email from OUP, that means from Ms. Miri Krishna, who is here, asking me if I could participate in the book launch of the 12-volume Comparative Dictionary of Tamil and Indo-European Languages. After learning more about details about the dictionary's contents, I agreed. Regarding the dictionary project's objectives, I quote, "The dictionary project continues to further strengthen the hypothesis of doyens of the comparative etymological research and nostratic studies, among others like Max Müller, Holger Pedersen, Parvanar, Joseph Greenberg, and others." End of quote. Right at the beginning, it is important for me to state that I am quite familiar with Indo-European and Indo-Aryan studies, but hardly at all with Tamil and Dravidian studies. This also means that I can only outline my Indo-European perspective here with regards to nostratic theories. What does the linguistic concept of nostratic mean? Worldwide, there are around 6,000 to 7,000 languages. Most of them belong to language families and language subfamilies. Estimates for the number of distinct language families worldwide vary widely, generally ranging from over 100 to over 400, depending on the classification methods, which ethnologue identifying 142 distinct living language families at this moment. In India, we find 5 or 6 language families: Dravidian, Indo-Aryan, Mon-Khmer, Tibeto-Burman, and the status of a possible 6th language family for Andamanese can be explained by Professor Abi. My focus now shifts to language families, Dravidian and Indo-European. The latter with the Indo-Aryan branch comprising most languages and most speakers within the Indo-European family. Ancient and modern Indo-European languages are Sanskrit, Greek, Latin, Germanic, and Slavonic, and so on. Among Dravidian languages, Tamil is the most important language for linguistic reconstruction. Other major languages, Dravidian languages, are Malayalam, Telugu, and Kannada. Sorry that I mentioned this here, being here in South India, but I try to make a statement as comprehensive as possible. While I feel at home with Indo-European and Indo-Aryan studies, this is much less the case with nostratic and Dravidian studies. Therefore, what I can say here is less authoritative. The term nostratic derives from the Latin word nostras, our country or our people, often understood in the sense of our language. The nostratic theory suggests that many major language families of Eurasia and North Africa, including Indo-European, Dravidian, Kartvelian, and Afro-Asiatic, descended from a single common ancestor known as Proto-Nostratic. It is assumed that Proto-Nostratic was spoken between 15,000 to 12,000 years BCE. It is also assumed that the various daughter language families and did not split off from Proto-Nostratic simultaneously, but successively. It is now interesting to see that both Professor Arasendiran and the American nostratic scholar Alan Bomhard maintain a much earlier separation of Proto-Dravidian from Proto-Nostratic than the separation of Proto-Indo-European. It is generally assumed that Proto-Indo-European was spoken not earlier than 4500 BC. But there are now some scholars like P. Hegarty who reconstruct a pre-Proto-Indo-European stage for around 7500 BC. This might indicate that the gap between the emergence of Proto-Dravidian and of pre-Proto-Indo-European may have been a time gap of around 2,500 to 3,000 years. In my view, there is a commonality in the historical linguistic view of nostratic scholars and Indo-European scholars that I view somewhat critically, and which is why I have made an alternative proposal regarding the history of Indo-Aryan in my book from 2023 with the title Indo-Aryan and the Linguistic History and Prehistory of North India. Both the well-known historical family tree model, according to which the various individual daughter language families or daughter languages emerge from a point of departure like vectors entering into an empty space. While this is not entirely wrong, I would like to briefly outline why it is not quite right. I have shown first that there was not just one wave of immigration of Indo-Aryan speakers into India, but at least two. An earlier wave of Proto-Indo-Aryan speakers through the Amudarya Valley and across the Hindu Kush. And there was a later wave of immigration of Old Indo-Aryan Vedic speakers via the Khyber Pass. Proto-Indo-Aryan traces, that is, traces older than Vedic Sanskrit, can still be found today in the Nuristani and Dardic languages of Hindu Kush and Karakoram. They are also called outer languages. Descendants of Vedic and classical Sanskrit like Pali or Hindi are called inner languages. In other words, we can also say that in Indian antiquity there was not only one Sanskrit language, but a number of dialects more or less close to Vedic Sanskrit. One of the consequences of this is that one can find in outer languages like Nuristani Vaigali or Dardic Kovar or Shina inherited words from Proto-Indo-European and in some cases even from Proto-Nostratic words that are neither found in Vedic nor in classical Sanskrit nor in Pali or Hindi. And in a very few cases they have parallels in Dravidian, as I will show in a moment. Second, I have shown that when the early Proto-Indo-Aryan speakers arrived in India, there was a strong Austroasiatic presence throughout northern India, including the Himalayas from Ladakh to Arunachal Pradesh. There was also certainly also a strong Dravidian presence at that time, as researchers such as G. Arasendriyaran, Bhadiraja, Krishnamurti, Hans Hock, or Asko Parpola have demonstrated. Third, finally, I have shown that in the northwestern South Asia there is a Kartvelian substrate that has left traces in Nuristani and Dardic languages, as well as in Eastern Iranian and Western Tibetan languages. Kartvelian is one of the nostratic families, and it is spoken in the Caucasus. However, most of these traces are found in Burushaski, namely the Kartvelian traces. Burushaski is spoken in the Hunza Valley in the Karakorum. Until recently, Burushaski has been regarded as a language isolate. So you see India's linguistic landscape around 2000 BC was quite complex. I won't even mention language isolates like Nahali or Kusunda here, but I am sure there were many more examples for them in earlier times. The original homeland of Proto-Indo-European was in the Pontic steppes north of the Caucasus, that of Kartvelian in present-day Georgia, south of the Caucasus, and that of Austroasiatic, probably in the Mekong Valley. I don't venture an opinion on the original home of Tamil and the other Dravidian languages, as I have no expertise in this field. Still, as I have just indicated, that my book contains a few but important data that give support to Professor Arasendiran's and his colleagues' nostratic theory. Due to lack of time, I can present here just two examples of a possible proto-nostratic lemma with a reflex in Dravidian and a reflex in Sanskrit and some of its daughter languages, and another example of a possible proto-nostratic lemma with a reflex in Dravidian and in some modern Indo-Aryan outer languages, but is missing in Sanskrit. I have to add here that the proto-nostratic and Dravidian forms are taken from Bomhard's Nostratic Comparative Dictionary. Most likely they are also found in the Magnum Opus Comparative Dictionary, Etymological Dictionary of Tamil and Indo-European languages, but some of the volumes of the work came to my hand only recently. I apologize for this. I am nevertheless aware of this great historical linguistic relevance. And here the two examples. The first is proto-nostratic mala, fullness or abundance, and that is reflected in Tamil as malal, brightness, or in Telugu, malaya, to shine, to be splendid. And this has also a parallel in Sanskrit, in mal bhavant, flashing, glimmering, already documented in the Atharva Veda. And there is a modern reflex in West Bahari, in a Himalayan language, in Mol Malano, to glitter. And I have worked for many years in that area, and I've also documented an oral Mahabharata epic tradition, which is current there. And in this oral Mahabharata, this word, Mol Malano, to glitter, to shine, is used repeatedly. There's a phrase which is repeated time and again, saying that Raja Duryodhan ko mukut molmala, the crown of King Duryodhan is shining, is emitting light. The second example is Proto-Nostratic Mala, hill, mountain. Tamil, Malay is the same meaning, and found in, that's missing in Sanskrit, but it's found in modern Indo-Aryan languages in the Karakoram, for instance, in a number of Shina dialects, where there's also Mal, mountain. And possibly this word is also found in Romanian, also quite far away. Of course, you know there is also Sanskrit Malaya, referring to mountains in South India, but this is a loan word from Dravidian root Mala or Malay, mountain or hill. It's not inherited. Coming to an end of my short presentation, I would first like to emphasize that it is wrong to assume that inherited words from Proto-Indo-European not found in Sanskrit are also not found in new Indo-Aryan languages. Rather, my latest book contains several hundred words inherited from Old Indo-Aryan dialects that are not found in Vedic or classical Sanskrit. It also contains dozens of words inherited from Proto-Indo-European that are likewise not found in Vedic or classical Sanskrit. Finally, it also contains a small number of words which are potentially nostratic, have a potential nostratic background, and which with parallels in Dravidian languages. Second, while my perspective focuses on a previously undiscovered Proto-Indo-European inherited Indo-Aryan vocabulary, the Comparative Dictionary of Tamil and Indo-European languages focuses on the much larger universe of all Indo-European languages. It does so with an unprecedented amount of new linguistic data, primarily from Tamil and many Indo-European languages. And last but not least, we are both united by the goal of trying to delve deeper into the prehistory of languages of India. In the short time I have had available so far, I have only been able to catch a brief glimpse of this magnum opus. Apart from the important new insights that this 12-volume work provides for general historical linguists, I'm certain that studying it will give me further important insights and data for my understanding of the deep linguistic prehistory of India. Thank you.